Hi everybody, it's Stephen here for Bland Designs, and today I thought I'd show you how I take something like this, a printed graphic, and get it to cut out like this without using scissors. Now, what I'm talking about is essentially using your Cricut Maker with the print and cut feature. So I'm going to show you how, first of all, I get my hands onto graphics like this, and I'm going to feature a website that you've heard me talk about before, and a man you've heard me talk about before, and his name is Mike Deacon. And he has a YouTube channel. If you've never checked it out, you should, where he does mixed media, makes journals, does all kinds of paper crafts. Also, he has a website called mikedeacon.com that I'm going to take you to in just a minute and show you, where he has available for sale what he calls digi-downloads. And the digi-downloads are usually collage sheets. He usually has 3 or 4 in a set, and there'll be one that shows the whole collage put together, and then there'll be the separate pieces on different pages. So they're great, they're inexpensive, and he allows you to use them any way you wish. But the big problem I have anyways is using scissors to cut them out, because you can see there's a lot of curves and things like this, and I'm very scissor challenged, to say the least. So to get something this accurate, I go through a process which I'm about to show you. So hang on, I'm going to switch over to my computer display. Okay, so this is Mike Deacon's website, and you can find it at mikedeaconart.com, mikedeakinart.com. And if you look around and find the shopping button, it's either at the top here or it's down here as well, and just click on that, it's going to take you to the screen that I already had up, where you see all the various pieces he has for sale. Now, what we're interested in today is going to the digi-downloads. So we'll click on digi-downloads, and you'll see he has quite a few things available for sale on here. And it's just a question of basically clicking on what you want. And if you want to see, this is the one that I just showed you a moment ago that I had downloaded. I'll just click on it again and you'll get a little bigger view. And if you want to see all the graphics, just go over top of it, or click on the little magnifying glass and you'll see the entire collection. And you see there are 4 pages in this set, which he calls Learn, Live, and Hope. And as you can see, it's broken up into parts, different sizes, and he also has some phrases that can be used on whatever project you're using. Let's go back out of this and just quickly mention the price. Usually these range in around about £1.50, which translated into Canadian dollars, because I am Canadian, comes out to about $2.72 at today's current rate of exchange. So really, they're quite reasonable. Once you put it in your basket, gone through the checkout procedure, you can then just download these images to your computer. But here's your problem for what I'm showing you today. He puts these up as PDF files, which is fine, except if you want your Cricut Maker to cut them out, then they have to be in JPEG or PNG or TIFF format. Cricut Maker's print and cut feature cannot handle PDFs, so we have to do a conversion. Now, there are several ways you can do this conversion. The way that I do it is I have a program from a company called Shampoo, which is basically very much like the very expensive Adobe Acrobat suite. I'm not talking about the Adobe Acrobat Reader. That's free, and it'll read any PDF file. But we want to convert the PDF files to JPEG, so we need a program that will allow us to do that. Shampoo is a very affordable program, and you can just go in and do a search in Google for Shampoo. But there are other freebie conversion sites online that will convert a PDF to a JPEG. So all you have to do is do a search on Google, and you will find probably several different programs that will convert PDF files to JPEG. Once you have found that, and once you have taken your PDF and put it through one of those programs, you now have it in a format that can be used by Cricut Maker. Now, just to note, I'm doing this through Mike Deacon's site because I love his graphics. However, there are plenty of JPEG and PNG and TIFF files on the internet that are free that you can download to your computer in that format. You don't have to download a PDF file. I'm just doing this because this is how I'm illustrating how I convert Mike Deacon's over into a file that the Cricut can handle. So I've already downloaded this file, but let me just show you what it looks like in Cricut Maker. So we're going to go to Cricut Maker, and it's going to take a minute here just to load up. And here comes my home page for Cricut, for the Cricut Maker, which is Design Space. And it comes up, new project. Yes, I'm just going to say new project in this case. I'm going to just give it a second to load. Things are a little slow today. Okay, here we go. All right, so this is my blank canvas, and if you look down here on the sidebar, you'll see something that's called Upload. So just click on Upload. And you can see that I have a lot of my images are already on here that I've done before. But for the sake of this tutorial, I'm going to show you how I would do it. So I have the image already converted to JPEG, and I just need to locate it on my computer. So we click on Upload Image, Browse, and we locate where that particular file is. So I've got to find that. Now, before I started this tutorial, I isolated out the file that I wanted, and I think I put it in here. And did I? Not that particular one, but that's okay. Let's go back. And I have a file of Mike Deacon's downloads that I keep. And you can see I buy a lot of them. And that one is Learn. So get the whole thing here. Got to find the file. Oops, I think I passed it. Okay, it's in here somewhere. That's what happens when you've got a lot of files. There it is, right there. So you see, I'd already converted the big one into a JPEG, so I'm going to open it. And now the image shows up here, and we have these choices to make: simple, moderately complex, and complex. I usually always pick complex, and I will in this case. And continue has lit up, so we'll click on that. Now it's going to take me to an editing screen where I can do some minor editing. And I can shrink it down. That's as far as it's going to go, but that's okay. It's all there. You'll notice all this white space that's in the background. If I was to leave that right now, I would not get an image that I could cut out. It would cut all the way around the rectangle, and I want it to fine cut the image itself. So I need to remove that background. Simple to do with one of the tools up here at the top. Just simply go to the magic wand, click on it, and then it becomes crosshairs. Click on the white space, and it should disappear. And there it goes. Now you want to make sure it's all away. Now you notice there's a little tiny spot right in here. Let's blow it up. Little white space here. I want that to cut out as well. So I just click on that with the magic wand, and it disappears. And I think the rest of my image is fine. So let's zoom out. And now we're just going to click on Continue. And now we're going to go to our Save screen. And here you're going to see the full color image in this screen. And in this screen, you're going to see the outline. Now, sometimes you will see little specks, look like dust specks, on this screen. There is a way to get rid of those with a little eraser tool, but that's beyond the scope of this tutorial. So once this comes up, I can also name it. It'll default to whatever name I saved it on my computer as, but I can change that. And I can also add tags. I don't tend to add tags, but you can. And if you've got a lot of files on the Design Space and you can't remember what you called them, you could put in keywords that you could search by. I'm not going to bother. I'm just going to click on Save. And sometimes this takes a little bit of time, depending on how complicated and how big the graphic is. However, if you look up here on the title bar, when you think it's not doing something, see the little green bar that keeps flowing by right there? That means it is saving it. Now, this also will depend on how fast your internet connection is, because you are actually saving it not onto your computer, you're saving it onto the website of Cricut, your personal space that they have there. So you see it saved it, and the image has popped up here. And now all I have to do is click on it to get the little green box around it, and click on this green button here that says Insert Images, and it's going to put it onto my blank canvas. And again, you can see the progress if you watch up here and you see the green bar going by. Again, it may take a couple of seconds to come up because it's going to depend on how fast your internet connection is, as I've said before, and how complicated the graphic might be. So it should pop up here in a minute, and there it is, and you can see it's very large. I am going to adjust the screen so you can see this a little better. There it is. It's pretty large. Okay. Now, when you do a print and cut has some limitations. It will not print and cut a full 8.5 by 11 image. You have to shrink it down to in around about 6.5 to about 8.5 inches or so. It depends on the graphic. But if you look over here, you will see the symbol for the printer. That means your image is now a print and cut image. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to adjust the size so I can do the print and cut. And essentially, I'm going to go up here to width, and I'm going to try to give it full width of 7 inches. Now you notice the lock is on, so that will keep things in proportion. But this is still going to be way too big. So I know that the max is probably about 8.5. Let's see if that's true. Here we go. And it's just readjusting the size. And I'll now go to make it. Now, if I can print this, if I'm within the parameters of how much it can handle, Make It will go right into a screen and show me what's going to be printed out. If it can't, it will come up with a warning up here in the top bar that'll tell me that it's too big and I just have to reduce it a little bit. But I didn't get that warning, and there it is. And that's what it looks like on my cutting mat. So we click on Continue. Oh, and one thing you'll notice, there's a black box drawn around this. This will print out. This black box is very important. It's the registration marks. When you put this on your mat and put it into the Cricut Maker, it will scan these registration marks in order to know exactly where to cut. So let's click on Continue and see what we have here. Now, one thing I haven't done is I haven't turned on my machine. So it says, no Cricut device found. So let me turn my machine on. And you can hear in the background my machine clicking through. And see, it's come up, Maker 3 on my USB. Now, first thing I want to do is print this out. So I'm going to send it to the printer. And it's going to default to one of my printers. If you only have one printer on your system, it'll go to that printer automatically. So I'm going to pick my printer. And down in Advanced Options, I like to click this because this goes into the options of my machine and of my printer, and allows me to change the resolution. Now this takes a couple of seconds to do this. So again, it is working through the internet while it does it, so this is why this takes a little bit of time. So it should come up here, and you'll notice it says bleed. Leave that turned on. That's important when you're cutting out an image. That way it will cut right around the image, right up close to the graphic. Now when it prints out, you're going to see a blurred line all the way around your graphic. That's the bleed. Don't worry about that. Okay, so my choices should come up here. There they are. And I'm just going to go into preferences, and I like to set my print quality to the highest quality for these kind of images. I just find it works a little better. And I'll click on print. Now, I'm going to switch over now to a different camera so I can show you the print mode. So I'll be right back here. Okay, so I printed out my graphic and I didn't bother to film that part of it because I didn't think you'd be really that interested in seeing the printing process. But if you look here, I want to point out a few things. See the black box that runs all the way around the graphic? That is the registration lines that I mentioned before, and that's very important so that the Cricut Maker can read that line and somehow, however it works, it figures out exactly where to cut on the graphic. Also, if I move this in a little closer, you'll see this sort of fuzzy black line all the way around the image. That's the bleed line. And I told you to leave the bleed feature on. That's how close the Cricut is going to cut your graphic. If you want a white border around it, turn the bleed off. I like it to cut right up against it though, and so that's how the Cricut Maker knows where to cut. So we're going to put this on a mat, and I'll take it over to the Cricut Maker and I'll show you what happens next. Okay, so now we need to pick our style of cutting, or what material we're going to cut is what I really mean to say. And I have some of my favorites up here. What I find best is the cardstock for intricate cuts. That's the one that I want, so I'm going to click on that one. And this is going to take me to this part that says Load, Tools, and Mat. And you can see that it wants me to make sure I have the fine point blade in, and it wants me to load the mat by pressing the mat load button. So I'm going to move over to the Cricut machine and show you what it does as it cuts. So here I am over at the Cricut Maker, and you can see the flashing light right here, and that indicates that it wants me to load the mat. So I've got the mat set up, and hopefully, because I'm doing this one-handed, this is going to go in okay. And there it goes. And now you'll see the Cricut button flashing. So all I need to do is press that, and it's going to scan the registration mark and start cutting out the graphic. So here, it's scanning the registration mark. And it takes it a few seconds to do this. And now it's going over and it's detecting the blade that I have in there to make sure I've got the fine cut blade. And now it's going to start the cutting process. So you can see it's going all the way around on that bleed line, and it's cutting out my graphic. Now again, depends on how complex the graphic is, how many cuts it has to do will dictate the time that it takes. On the Cricut screen itself, which I can't show you right now, it shows you how much of the graphic has been cut, and it shows it to you in a percentage. So I'm going to just let this go ahead and finish its cutting. Now it may go around this graphic twice to make sure it's got a accurate cut. I'm not sure. I can't remember whether it will do that or not, but we'll see here in a second. And yes, it is going to do that a second time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause the video here, let this finish what it's doing, and then I'll be right back. Okay, So you can see that I have taken this off the Cricut Maker, and now I just need to pull up the graphic. And if all goes well, and it usually does, I should have my nicely cut graphic. So we'll just pull up the back paper. And you see how nicely that came off, and then we just have to pull the graphic up. Can you notice this little piece right here? That's the little piece that we indicated we want to have cut out. So there we have it. Our graphic is cut. So that's all there is to it. It's very simple, and this opens up a whole new world for you. Instead of having to bother fussy cutting all the way around your graphic images that you find, you can have the Cricut Maker do this. Will this work with one of the earlier machines like the Explorer Air and the Explorer Air 2? Yes, I believe it does. You don't have to have the Cricut Maker to do this, because all you need is the current version of Design Space, and it will allow you to do the print and cut feature on one of those other machines as well. So I find this really handy. I get great detail. I'm not jagged cutting, because that's what happens with scissors, especially when you go around curves and things like that. And the beauty of this is, once you've got the image into your Cricut Design Space, you can make as many and cut as many of these as you want. So if you're making multiple cards that you want the same images on, easy to do with this. So I hope you found this tutorial useful. And just to let you know, I was videotaping this in a totally different videotaping. That is so last century. I was recording this on several different devices, and then I spliced these all together. So this was a little bit more complicated to make than ones I usually make. But anyways, I do it all for you. So hope this was helpful. See you again soon. Bye-bye for now.